control is here, treasurer, and Bernie Cotta is vice president. Our agenda is for the minutes to read and approve. We had a couple of emergencies this week, so that will have to be done at the next meeting, or you can see it online. Financials have been approved, and what we're going to do on that is, well, they're actually already online, so you can go there to view them. And we got something new, which is a petition for Suzanne. And she will let, right? Oh, it's the yellow folder. Right here.
On the financials, you're not going to go through what income we've generated this month?
You can view them online, so you can see them anytime you want. Just go online and see.
And the bills that we paid are online too?
The things that we are, yeah, everything is on there, and the only thing that we're tabling is the capital bill, because apparently we have questions if it's an arbitration or not, so we're going to put it on the table. And the Lisa attorney bill, it's being tabled, but it is in the budget, and we just have to get information from her. And as far as the notes go, those are pending before court, so those are being tabled also. And we have something new, which is tabled for, we have another new petition from the Department of Fire, Life and Safety. And this is a petition from Suzanne Solis. And we do have a copy of her letter, her complaint that's been filed. The answer is not answered. So if anybody would like to add any suggestions or thoughts on that, just go to the website and add your comments. So the next thing that we need to go through, if anybody has questions or wants to see a copy of the petition, it is here on file. If anybody wants to see copies from the last board meeting of the petitions that were signed to remove 2 board directors, it's also here tonight. So we're going to move on. If anybody, the explanation of the process, Bernie has actually just had an emergency, so we're okay for that. So the explanation of the process.
Wait, I'm sorry. I didn't hear what you just said about quorum. Bernie had an emergency. If he leaves, the quorum's broken.
Well,
then there is no meeting.
We're continuing with the meeting because we're not voting on anything, so.
You can't. Once we already had this as an issue a long time
They're
ago.
out of order. If we have the floor and talk.
And they have no quorum now. That's okay. They're not going to vote on it now.
2 out of 3 forms of quorum. Okay, so the process for the petition is also online. You can go and look at that. And you can, if you have any questions about that, you can email them directly. The website is readily available. The floor is open to questions now, so go ahead and ask.
I did send some questions this morning, some were answered and some weren't. The question about the acres, it's clear that any vote of the members is based on the acre zone.
Okay, and the
law supersedes that.
The removal of board member directors. The law supersedes the CC&Rs. It is very confusing, I will agree. And the law is 33-1813. It's very clear on how you do that. Also, I'd like to add on the CC&Rs and the bylaws, when people will get confused about a special meeting and a regular meeting and an election and a removal are 2 different things. So when we have our new election coming up at the beginning of the year, we'll get new board directors. That is done by acreage. They're in the CC&Rs or the bylaws. You will see that there are 2 ways for voting, and it will explain that process. So
I know the bylaws pretty well in the map. The bylaws are strictly by acre. There's nothing in the bylaws that goes
The
out.
law supersedes that.
the law does
Is that the piece that was sent out with the ballots?
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
somebody have
It
that?
was actually on.
Hold on,
Please reread it.
let me see.
Not trying to bust your chops, just want to make sure.
Here.
everything's on
That's
the-
okay. And I do believe if you go to the bylaws, on page 3, where it says membership voting, the number 1, the association shall have 2 classes of voting
Right, the declare
in the
and the
membership,
members.
okay?
And declare and
So-
so more.
So there, even though we have 2 classes, the law trumps the bylaws.
Yeah, we no longer have 2 classes because the declarant no longer has votes, having sold off the property. So it is just a member vote, but I'll decide all the state when real quick. I don't want to disrupt
Okay,
it.
so we're just gonna,
But the CCNRs also call
Are you
for-
familiar with the 33-18-13 law?
That's,
Nah, that's what I've been reviewing.
Okay, well, that's the law that's trumping our laws,
Who says that?
okay? The law, Arizona revised
Who's the
statute.
law?
did you get legal counsel?
Yeah. Are you a member?
One
You're
question
not a board
at a
member.
time, okay? Seriously.
Are you referring to paragraph A or further down?
On, I am going with A, where it says the members by majority vote of members entitled to vote and voting on the matter at the meeting of the members called pursuant to the section at which a quorum is present.
Was a quorum present?
Yes.
How?
How?
The quorum is on number 4, okay? And anyone that would like to bring your attorney and have
we don't wanna do
served
that.
to me, that's completely fine. I'm willing to do that. My job here is to make decisions, and I've made the
You
decision.
can't interpret a CCNR.
The CCNRs are not in effect because of
You can't
the
interpret
ARS
CCNRs.
statute trumps it.
And the presence at any meeting has to be 50%. It doesn't matter.
Wait a minute, it doesn't
Okay,
matter, it says,
so
it
do
says
you-
the
do you have any
CCNRs
other
are vote
questions?
by
And you vote by acres.
I don't necessarily have a question, but I'll make a comment for what it's worth. The word notwithstanding that begins this entire state statute basically says that despite anything in our CCNRs and bylaws, the state statute takes precedence. I understand what you're saying. I think it would probably be worthwhile to have 1 or 2 attorneys, an attorney chosen by Suzanne's people, whatever, interpret it and make a recommendation just to be sure. But
And here's,
I
and
think
I will
the word
comment to-
notwithstanding.
I understand that,
does
but,
supersede.
but you can't interpret, nobody can interpret a CCNR.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That makes sense. Okay.
Okay, and as far as getting attorneys, as far as that I'm sitting on the board, one of the biggest questions I was asked the very first night was, are you gonna rack up a bill? Are you gonna rack up a bill? I am not going to do that.
Good.
Now, if you guys want to bring on attorneys and tell me something different, you just bring it on. We will do what we need to do. And as far as calling 10 different attorneys, and I guarantee you, I will get 10 different answers. Okay? So until I end up in a courtroom in front of a judge, no one will have that answer.
Yeah, we
And
could've
I'm
come
not
to
gonna
judge.
take it to court. And
Good.
that's just exactly how I feel about it, because we have serious issues going on. People want the roads paved, and that's what we wanna do. Is get, I'm sorry, graded. And there's just a lot of issues, and I have complaints this long, and seriously can't get to every complaint about this and that, just cannot do it. And I have now 3 board directors. It's a lot of work, and with the petitions coming in, gathering information, trying very hard to get legal advice, but not pay for legal advice is a very difficult
That's
task.
good. Can we view the petition? Can we view the petitions? Can we view the petitions?
Yes, you can.
Where are they?
I have them, and after our meeting, you are very welcome, one at a time, to do.
One thing though that I would like to emphasize about those petitions, we will not tolerate any harassment, any bullying, any shape, form, or
Really?
fashion to anybody who signed those petitions. Those people
It's the same
Some
thing
of them
as
are
when you
scared to
voted
death.
secretly. It's your vote.
Yes.
And you should not be harassed by the way you voted. That's your right.
But when we requested though, we never got it. I mean, even the board of directors requested, you never said we have it.
The law states that I have to have them for 1 year after, for review, after the special meeting, okay? And if
And
you
then
read that law,
Who validated
it is
them?
there.
Who validated them?
There was 3 of us that validated them, and they're all validated, and they were all good. There was one that was not good, I will tell you that much, and it wasn't counted. But there's more than enough signatures, there were more than enough votes, and even if you wanted to go down to acreage on those votes, there's no comparison.
I heard there's enough acres
So
to
we're
keep,
moving forward.
I heard there's enough acres to keep Becky on,
No.
based on what you
Okay,
said
I'm not
last
here
time.
to debate the situation, I'm just here to answer questions. Is there any other questions?
Now, what?
You're good? Are you sure?
Yeah. I'll let you know.
Anybody? Joe? Okay. All right, please note the file at this time. I have addressed everyone in the audience and there are no more questions. Yay! Okay, so now we are moving on to our budget. We have come to understand that previous boards had a budget and had regular assessments at a certain amount of money. In order to have a special assessment, we will have to have 2/3 votes from our community to be able to have a special assessment. So at this point, we have agreed that we are going to bill out the $72 and $5 or $6 and per lot, per acre.
605 per
Sorry.
acre.
What's the 72?
72
Is the 72 comes from our regular assessment, which we increased by 20% to state law that we could do that was billed previously. And we will have to put together another meeting for special assessments when everything gets off. If we find out if the notes are legal and we pay them, we find out which arbitrations or if there's arbitrations, you know, there's a lot of things going on and we just don't really know all the answers. And we just,
Is the budget on the website?
What we're
yes, yes it is.
is $72 per lot. But if around July and August, we see that we're just gonna have to have more, we may have to go out with $50 because what we don't want is it to come back on our head that these bills aren't getting paid. Yeah, we're gonna, $72 now per lot. Now, what I would like to do is to put it out for votes to the people, a possibility of a disclosure thing when there is a sale, and ask the people, who do you want it? Do you want it at 300 or 350 or 250? Well, people vote. No?
Well, and the bottom line is the law puts us to do certain things now for money, and we're gonna proceed with what we think is right to the law. We're not attorneys, we're only doing the best that we can, and most likely there will be a bill at some point because there's just not enough money from the group to pay such large bills that we have. We
Do you have
also
an estimate of
have,
what it would cost per homeowner to pay the current bills?
to pay the current bills now, we would say it would, to pay the current bills and maybe including some of the new petitions could be between anywhere, this is a guess and it's an estimate, anywhere from $425 to $575. There's just not a confirmed answer for that.
You know, 75 to 80% of people out here do not want a national
together and give it to me,
It'll come up in due time.
okay?
Yeah, no, nobody's requesting
Suzanne?
that, right?
Well, the first thing is to do a special assessment. Special assessments are for capital improvements, and this association does not have anything to capitally improve. So that would make it difficult. The second part, I disagree with what Joyce says. You can't bill for part of the year and then the other half of the year. You have to put a budget together for the whole year. Now, you don't have quorum tonight. Excuse me, you don't have quorum tonight. So this meeting can't even take place the way it is except for discussion, so you can't even have a motion on the table. There's a $400 budget that was already voted on. It's an annual, if you look at it, it's an annual assessment, an annual operating budget. It's once a year. So if you try to bill people twice a year, it's not going to be well received. So I suggest that the board relook at the budget and go with the annual budget, expecting that you know that you have some bills to come in. When you do settlements like CAFR and promissory notes and other things, understand that you know that those assessments or those monies coming in are going to be paid up front. When CAFR tried to negotiate with us for $10,000, it was, we need your check tomorrow. So there isn't going to be waiting once a judgment comes down, or once they're going to come at your doorstep, they're going to go to your bank, they have a judgment, and they're going to seize the assets. So my excuse me.
Let her talk.
Okay, I have 2 minutes, so
Okay, go ahead, Suzanne.
So, number one, you can't special assess unless it's capital improvements. 2, it's an annual budget, as it says, an annual operating budget is once a year, okay? So I suggest you rethink your budgets. And number 3, you do have to put in everything that you can possibly assess. You can always come back later and refund people money, which is actually easier than taking it away.
Okay, let me just address this.
Well, and you can't, the last, Joyce, Grace, you can't, the $72 is discussion tonight. It can't even be on table.
Let me just answer a couple of the things that you addressed. On our CCNRs on page 3, we can have our regular assessment can come monthly, quarterly, or on an annual basis, okay? And it's determined by the board, okay? We're not saying that everything we're doing, you know, is this, or this. What we're saying is that we are going by a regular assessment that was previously charged. When you charge an assessment, the law states that I cannot take a $100 assessment and make it $1,000 next year. I can only increase it by 20%. Okay? My hands are tied with the law. I have to have a special assessment at some point. And yes, we do have bills from people. We do have that. We also have bills that could be in arbitration or heading for arbitration. I don't know where that's at this point. We're just trying to get one thing in at a time, but we're also trying to address getting these roads graded, because it's the most important thing on our association that we are responsible for. Okay, go ahead.
First of all, you're wrong, because we were at the management company. Joyce was there that day when we discussed the budget, and he read our section on the budget. The part that can increase is what we did, the acreage cost, the 6.05 is what we increased based on the law. He said the next part is your operating budget, and that has to function as your operating budget. And as he said at the management company that day, that has to be what it is.
Okay, and let me just talk on that. And when it comes to the management companies, we have spoken to management companies. And again, it's just like seeing the doctor for a cold. I have talked to 3 of them, and they all have something different to say about the assessment. And until I'm standing in front of a judge and the judge tells me exactly what to do, I just can't. I'm doing the best that we can.
Rosie, let me clarify, for some, the management meeting was not a legit meeting,
It wasn't here, it was before, last board.
Come on, Suzanne.
Let me speak. So the management meeting wasn't a membership meeting, so nothing that was spoken of there can actually be brought into our minutes. But let me just tell you about the CCNRs, the way it's been interpreted to us. It says in the CCNRs that after the initial assessment, which is no longer allowed by law, you cannot charge a property transfer fee anymore. So the 400 has been put on the wayside. And then it says after that number is paid, the $5 an acre for the year. It does not designate that $5 is a regular assessment. It doesn't even designate it as an assessment. They just said that they will be charged $5 per acre per year. Now, yes, the association can come up with a budget. They did that in 2010. The budget was $60. Based on that budget, you cannot by state statute raise that more than 20% without a 2/3 vote. You can send another assessment out to the members at whatever dollar that you feel has to be paid to pay all of the bills that we have. And that 2/3 vote will come back in approving it, at which point then it will be billed up. But that will not be billed up per acre, that will be billed out per individual on an equal basis. So if you read the CCNR, you cannot go every year, you can't raise it to $400 and then bring it back down to 60 and then bill it out at 180 and then bill it out at 75 and then bill it out at 400. It's not allowed by law. Once the assessment was established after the declarant gave it over to us, the first legal board assessed it at $60. So the 72 is based on the 20% increase that the law allows us. Does that answer your questions?
Well, no. First of all, you're wrong. The meeting that I'm referring to was an executive board meeting at the management company. So that was not the meeting that was here. Number two, 4E references regular assessments at the normal maintenance, repair, and reserves. Okay, so that's the other thing. And then the third thing is that we...
Are you saying you spoke about management company?
We spoke when the old board, Jim Stroll's board, met with the management company. Joyce was present, I was present, Becky was present, Jim was present. We met with them and we went through the CCNRs from section E or 4 through section E all the way through. And that's what they said, is that you have to meet your operating budget, okay? And there is no 20% or 10% to meet the operating budget. You must have reserves, you must meet your stuff. That's what he said, and we even talked about if the assessment had to go to $400. My question to the board is, you can bill however you want. You can bill annually, monthly, quarterly. The budget has to be set because you have people selling their homes, and that budget has to be set for a year. This board has to take that into consideration because it's that part of the petition action.
Suzanne, you've been wrong on so many things.
The situation right now is that everybody has their own opinion. And again, I'm sorry, but the board is running. I'm not crazy. Here.
Let's move on.
It's mere discussion at this point because you have no quorum to do the $72, so.
Two quick questions. We know that whatever we bill, we don't collect 100% of it. A lot of people have to pay their assessments in years. Does the $72 assume that only some percentage of the members will actually pay? Does the 72? Yeah, but all you can do is put a lien on the property, and not what we can do. So should the 72 be raised by whatever percentage is necessary to average it out?
Only if you can show me a law that says that I can.
Because you're saying over the 60, you only have to pay 10. Okay. Second question related to all this is that this is the first board that has really referred to the state statutes, and I don't know enough to necessarily agree or disagree, but I understand what the word notwithstanding means in the contract. We've talked for years about gaps in our CCNRs and bylaws, and perhaps it's time to get some folks together to update the CCNRs and bylaws to not conflict with the state.
And what that would take is you to get a petition and hand it to me. That's all you need to do, and you can be in charge.
I don't want to be in charge, I just want to help.
No, I agree with Larry. I think we really need a petition. And if we can petition to change the CCNRs to apply by the state statutes, that would be.
So, right now, the next thing on our agenda is taking care of these roads. And I know that I've gotten lots of emails, and everybody wants to be first. And without knowing, without being an engineer, I could look at all the roads I've seen some of them myself, and some of them are more serious than others. Some of them need a little bit more than road grade. And again, we're working with a very small amount of money, and we're going to tackle that the best and fairest way that we feel it can be done. And there's lots of new issues according to state statutes, because now I got people sending me state statutes about road grading, and then I talk to county. County says I have to have, this and that. And it all takes time to go down there and say, okay, well, are you saying I have to have a $30,000 engineering bill? Where would that money come from? There's a lot of little processes that we're trying to get through the hoops. Maybe, we're gonna try to do the best that we can, but I can only assure you that very soon, we're hoping within the next 30 days, that we can attempt to start grading these roads.
Two questions again.
After the next rain. What? After it rains.
Two quick questions.
Okay.
One, I learned not all that long ago from Mr. Stroll that not all the roads actually are supposed to be graded. Is there something in writing somewhere that describes what roads get graded and what roads
Okay,
don't?
I can explain that to you. It is in our CC&Rs, okay, that basically we're responsible for, well, actually, Ray, you're more familiar with this.
It basically says that the roads that are maintained are those that have subdivided on the survey map survey. The original survey map, and you're probably all familiar with this one. When they first.
40s? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's it's 144th, which is now owned by it's not the county, but they do maintain it.
Right.
140th, 138th, 136 is paved, that's not necessary. And then we go the other way, Ranch Road, Asher Hills, and Olive Valley. And Death Valley.
And Death Valley?
Yes.
And is it all of Death Valley?
It's all of Death Valley, from 144 to 136.
So all the east-west roads are 136 and 144? All of the main?
Without going into the little streets that are.
And then there's the issue that some roads have been paved since then. So obviously, we're not responsible for grading those roads. And as far as the CC&R bylaws are written, it doesn't say that I'm really responsible for the paving of the roads. So there's a lot of things that are very vague. And that's where we get a lot of this, he said, this way, this way, this way. We're just doing the best we can.
Well, actually, that's very
Okay. I've heard a lot of people, including my wife, complaining that, hey, my road doesn't get graded, so why do I have to pay for that? It's gotten me thinking that there's a lot of debate over the paved roads, and would there be equity in relieving the owners of the properties on the paved road from their portion of the grading
I can
fee,
answer that for you.
but not having everybody
I
else
can
pay
answer
the
that
paved
for you,
road?
okay? And I'm gonna use myself, okay? I bought my property, okay? And my road was not paved, okay? But the county came in and paved my road.
What road is that?
Lone Mountain,
Yeah, okay.
okay? A portion of it is paved. So I said to myself, well, do I have to pay for the grading? Because I don't have a road that needs to be graded. However, and this was actually tackled legally through a title company form. And they have told me that when you buy into any CC&R, whether you play on the playground or not, that's part of the CC&R. So you were given the CC&R when you purchased it, and you had every right not to buy into the CC&R.
Right.
Okay, so there.
Well, the question I've had for a long time, Larry, did you have another question?
No, go ahead. I'll catch up.
The question I had is, now that we have paved roads, who's responsible to maintain those? Let's say that I lived on a paved
That's a
road,
good question.
and since I was on the board.
I have an answer for you. And my answer right now is that this would only be for my board because of the vagueness of our CCNRs and bylaws. We're not gonna go out there and say, well, you know what, if a bomb comes in there, or some kids play and rip your road up, I'm gonna pave it. I'm not gonna say that's not my responsibility. It's not my responsibility in our CCNRs or bylaws to tell you you can't pave your road or anybody. That's not my responsibility.
But it is responsibility of the association to maintain.
It is the responsibility to maintain the road, but it's also extremely very big.
Well, but the question I have is, let's say I buy a house on that road and then a bomb comes and blows it up, or a big truck comes down, the trash truck, and it ruins my road, and I don't know anything about who paved or association. Who am I gonna call because of the CCNRs that says they're gonna maintain my roadways? I'm gonna call the HOA, I'm gonna call the HOA to take care of it.
You have to have
Okay,
that
and
question.
I did actually speak to an attorney. I actually spoke to two of them on a free basis, okay? And I got completely separate, different answers. It would have to go to your committee, and the committee would have to make a decision if your road was bombed, okay? I could say, well, I am gonna fix your road, and I'm gonna turn it back to dirt, and we're gonna pave it, okay? Or maybe I could say, we have $40,000 on our pot, we're gonna pave your road, we're gonna fix it. There is no way to know the answer to that because we are dealing with such vague answers, and I can only stress to the homeowners to, you know, start getting on the same page and start working on let's change the CCNRs. And, you know, for the record, we all bought out here to keep that 1.66. I mean, I have not met anyone to this day that doesn't want to keep that 166. And I've heard stories and rumors, and
Crazy.
so far I've not ever found anyone that does not want that road.
So,
We go to her,
So I spoke to a lot of the owners on the road that have paid for roads, and we'd be more than happy to drop out of the association, take care of our roads. We want nothing to do with the association, we don't pay our fees, we drop out, we maintain our own roads.
and I would love to be part of that group too, but however, you know, I bought into those. I bought into those,
I'd have to figure out the pros and cons.
you know,
But
basically.
I will consider it.
But basically, we all bought into the CCNRs. If we don't play on the playground, you know, that's not my fault.
And the roads are guaranteed for 3 years. Okay, and after that, you know, if you figure out, if you take the lineal fee of what it costs in the last 3 years, 4 years to grade the roads, you're going to save in excess of almost $6,000 by our roads in the next 3 years of being paid, not having to grade it. So, you know, it's good
There's
knowing that
pros and
savings.
cons.
Let us move
You know,
on.
on my road, nobody has to pay because it got turned into a county road. Maybe we could get the roads turned into a county roads.
Is it the intent? I'm sorry.
That's I'm assuming the association has a copy. I know I gave one to Rosie a long time ago of the public land report, which dictates the roads and stuff. And I guess my concern is that it clearly says here that the interior roads are dedicated to the public. These roads will be completed by the developer. The surface will be dirt. The property owners association is responsible for the maintenance of these interior roads. The cost is included in the POA assessments. So in regards to that land report, my only comment is, again, if someone buys into it or anything else, or if the association has knowledge that Larry wants to pave in front of his road, usually a person before doing the work, even though they would go to the county for permits, should also come to the association and request it, because according to the documents, it should be a dirt road. And that
And I
wasn't
would
done.
agree with you, and
He's
I
gonna run it.
absolutely 100% agree with you, okay? But we have to go by these
Yeah.
rules that are extremely vague, and they don't clarify that.
Grace, it says that the roads will be dirt when they first develop it. And it states in our CCNRs that the association. and I
Okay,
think
we'll stay there and then I'll come out and
association
talk to
has
what's
the
wrong with
right
that.
To make improvements.
Okay,
on the
I'll call
roads, so
you.
we can do that. But it also states
Okay,
that
I'll call you.
access to the development is provided by public roads, generally completed mainly 136 and 140th Street, 144th Street, from Rio Verde. The property owners association will maintain these roads. So when you're looking from Rio Verde into our association, we're supposed to maintain those 2 roads coming in. We haven't paid a penny yet in Blacktop to maintain even one.
No, because the county took over that, that's why.
Yeah, I think there is
County
something
superseded
right.
everything.
I think there is something right with that. A lot of it's even the trouble.
And I think the other problem we have is the county has changed so many rules. Larry, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you know this more than being in the business you're in, but they have changed a lot of the rules since 1999. And it's not quite so easy anymore to read the rules without putting your dust permits and your permits, which those were even heard of back in 1999, 2000. So it's more expensive now to do that. And the last correspondence we got, they had said that we need an engineer's report for each and every lot. Well, we're fighting that right now, so we finally got somebody saying, okay, if you only fill potholes, this is the end of the thing, we'll let you buy it.
Is it the intent of the board to come up with a policy for the paved roads during the course of the year?
Say again?
Is it the intent?
Well, you can't.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you say your name?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Is it the intent of the board to come up with some policy for the paved roads during the new term?
Well, there's no really intent. What I really like to do is simplify and get the CC&Rs updated and changed and get, we have lots of forms now that you can go online. And as many emails as I see on a daily basis, I think that we're dealing with a lot of educated people that they have extra time, and I'm going to say that. And with that extra time that they have, I would like them to start pressing. I think that this CC&R could be changed. I think this CC&R could be eliminated. I think this one could be improved. I think if we all kind of join together like we're all wanting to do and start putting some ideas together, then we can put it out to a vote. And maybe we can say, you know what? We don't want any CC&Rs, but the 1.67 acres, done. Maybe we want to pave all the roads, done. Everybody split the cost. I mean, I'm just saying there's 2/3 vote to make this happen, and we have the ability to change them and to make it happen. And I would like everyone in here to start spreading that word. Let's put it together, and maybe at the next meeting, we can all together as a group go, that won't work because of this, and this won't work because of that. And instead of being anchored and have all this build up, just maybe relax a little bit and let's get it worked out. I think that would
Totally
be
agree with that. Totally agree with you. For what it's worth, my own comment. So that stuff gets sold and put to rest. And
It may never be put to rest. There are some people that will just do it and do it and do it and do it and do it. And right now, we're letting the law handle it. It's not our problem anymore.
The problem is that it's the very same people that continuously, that are association members, that keep bringing suits and stuff to the association, that the association has to pay for, and ultimately they're paying for their own suit. It's pretty
Okay, but
there's a lot of other
let me
boards.
comment on that, and for respect of these individuals that are putting lawsuits on us, they have an opinion, okay, and they have every right to do what they're doing. Okay,
I agree.
they can express their opinion, they can take it to court. All we can do is show up and maybe we are wrong. Maybe we don't see it right. We don't know. So I'm not opposed to, I'm not angry with anyone for doing it, and I don't think anyone else should be really solely angry for that. But there does come a time where enough nonsense needs to stop. I mean, just needs to stop. And work on the things that we need to work on.
It is absolutely unreal what has happened to this association.
I mean, the association has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars.
$650,000 it has cost us. This association, State Farm Insurance Company, pays
We don't want the roads paved.
But you can have them graded almost on a weekly basis.
The biggest, I think you have a couple of key challenges. One, there's conflicting objectives amongst the members, but I'm willing to bet that 80% of them are trivial, and if we can get them off the table, the 20% that are meaningful, we probably have a rational discussion.
And I would agree with you, but there's other issues at hand besides the lawsuits, you know. I mean, I've got emails that, you know, I think one individual, you know, is talking to a board director, and I mean, I can give you a copy of this email, and it's basically someone saying, you have 2 days to make this decision, and I'm gonna make all this go away. And it's like, well, first off, we're not gonna be, as a group of people, right, okay? It's just illegal. You can't do that. And so some of these legal things that are going on, sometimes they have to go on because I can't be bribed. You're not going to pay me X amount of dollars. You're not going to trade me for something and me not hold up my responsibilities to everyone. And that's what I need to do. But in some cases, and you know, you're more than welcome to look at emails. I've got bribery going on in here. I've got theft going on in here. There's so many counts going on in here. I can't even. I've lost it. I don't even care anymore. That goes to a legal department, and you know, now we have the postal inspections going on. We have the fraud department going on. We have, you know, I've lost count of all the people. And these officers and inspectors are asking me questions, and I don't know anything about road being ripped up. I don't know about an $18,000 deal where people soiled their roads. They paid, you know, soil sales so the dust wouldn't kick up. And then another man comes over and rips it all out just because he wants to. It's ridiculous. And the thing is the past boards, I'm not saying all of them, but there's been a lot of vandalizing and bribery going on and this and that. And I can't fix that. I cannot fix that. All we can do at this point is deal with what we can and get opinions when we can. And we love opinions from all of you. We love them. But we just have to join. At some point, we're all going to have to hold hands and join and take a lead. And that's where I'm going to keep pushing forward. Yes, I'm taking care of every complaint that's in my email. And yes, everyone is getting their opportunity to have a separate police report. I'm fine with that. It's not, I don't control how it gets done. Okay? And we have new things at meetings where we have to have police officers here, and it should not have to be this way. We all put our kids on the bus together. We all show up at their games. We're all showing up around town. And right now, if we have to start doing our meetings online with Skype or GoToMeetings.com to get it done, that's what we're gonna do. So be advised and watch the website for that. Because I'm not gonna be threatened at a meeting. I don't like it, I don't think it's fair, and I don't think it's right. And none of the association members feel scared to come to a meeting.
I respect what you're saying, and the purpose of my emails today about the recall load and state statutes versus the final CCRs is really to continue to say that the best thing you guys can do as a board is document everything, cross your teeth, dot your eyes, and full disclosure. And nobody can argue with the truth. And if what you're doing, and I'm not never accusing you of any wrongdoing, nor have accused any other board of wrongdoing. But the best thing you can do is full disclosure and just be right.
But even if we're not right, we're just volunteers. And I highly stress that you run for the board. Okay, every year. And you know what? We're getting up, they run the first time, and that's what everyone told me. I couldn't see how it could be that bad, but it's a full-time job.
Well, I will once again, as I have with these previous boards, volunteer to help with rewriting CCRs and bylaws. That's people to get together. Happy to do it. I think that would solve an awful lot of our problems. So,
I do too.
yeah.
Does anybody have any other questions, Suzanne?
Let me get back to you.
I have one finance question, if I could. This has come up before and has been resolved. A lot of us that paid our 400.
I can answer that.
Okay.
Okay, I actually got legal advice on that, okay? And this is how it works. If you go to the store and you buy the Coca-Cola that was $5.99, okay? And at 6 p.m. the sign goes up and it's $1.99, there's nothing anyone can do about that.
Except just about every retailer will give you the credit card.
Yes, that is true, but we're not a
Sounds great.
retailer, and, you know, the first time that I give it back to you, and everybody's gonna want it back, and I just,
It had been
there's no law
suggested-
stating that.
It had been suggested under the previous board with Jen,
But there's not even
that,
enough money for that.
granted, but it had been suggested that a future credit be granted in order to get
But if
all of
there's,
us on
in
that.
the settlement agreement, it states in there that payments that have not been paid be cleared out and not charged in the future. But anything that's already been paid is not.
I remember seeing that in some of the.
It's in there. Says it, yeah.
Okay.
There, it is in the settlement, but even though other boards have talked about it, that's not our board. And, you know, as soon as I pay you back your $400, tomorrow you'll send me another email telling me I gotta grade your road, with not enough money, right?
Not my road, it doesn't get graded.
You know, I just say, there's not a happy answer for every single person. And we're trying to be fair. Go ahead.
We have been paying for our vacant land, we have 10 acres, and we have bought the acreage in 2002. So before BC and Iraq have been established. And we have been paying since then, whenever we used to get the bill, being good citizen, we were paying like over $400 every year. So where do we stand?
Association?
Pardon?
To the association?
To the association.
Yes, to the board, whatever board, yes.
Okay, I'm gonna give you my personal number, okay? And that will not be tolerated on this board. And we can probably come up to something and work out.
So my point is now that you are going to assess anything, even $10, I can refuse to pay, correct? Because my land was bought before 2007.
No. No.
What-
1999.
Pardon?
CCNRs were formed in 1999.
Oh.
And the property was turned over to the association to manage it via not the builder in December of 2006.
But I would like you to personally call me. I'll give you my cell phone and let's talk a little bit more on that, okay? And
I'm just
I was not aware-
wondering, you know.
Honestly, I wasn't aware of that, and every day I learn.
Yeah, we were paying every year, right? Yeah, but we were paying, you know, it was, I still remember it was $400 and something, and we were paying.
Okay, well, let me, call me and I will go over with Joyce. Are you talking about a one-time fee?
I don't think so, I think it was more than that.
Is there a way to do the 400 with a different amount each
I
year?
really do not remember, we just paid it, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, give me a couple days to go over
Oh,
all
sure,
the payment.
absolutely.
And I will call you.
Absolutely, that would be.
Because if they were actually assessments that the other board directors were charging, there's nothing I can do about it.
Right.
If they were charging you $400 for the first assessment year after year, which at this point, nothing surprises me, okay?
Right. It's just a question, you know, as I said, the money is gone, but I'm just wondering if we have to do this again or whatever.
Let me check into it.
Thank you.
I have to go to Suzanne.
Well, I mean, you just said we're volunteers, and I just want to make you understand, and the board understand, as we've always understood, no matter what state you're in, yes, you're a volunteer, but ignorance is not the okay for it. So that means that as judgments come forward, whether they're hearings, court hearings, civil cases, or anything else, it's a learning curve for everyone, and therefore can't be ignorant, and that's why these court hearings are done.
I agree with you.
That's what management companies are for. You missed one, discussion of the videotaping.
I'll review it right away.
On the video, you know what, Joyce, remember the videotaping? On the videotaping, this is what we're going to do. We actually have gotten several issues coming to us about the videotaping. It's not against the law to videotape. However, associations can make policies to videotape. And if the association says they want no more, as a policy, no more videotaping, there will be no more videotaping. And right now, we feel that so far at this point, there really hasn't been an issue with videotaping, except for the more part that people want to say, you said, and if you want to cut part of the video out and then show the video and not show its entire thing, that it would be a problem. And so what we found with a lot of associations, since the law has come into effect, which is a new revised statute, fairly new, that we can create a policy to have no videotape. Or we can create a policy that says if you're going to videotape, you cannot distort the video in any way, shape, or form. It has to be shown in its entirely, yes.
State statute, here it is. Persons attending may audio tape or videotape those portions of the meetings of the Board of Directors and meetings of the members that are open. The Board of Directors of an association may adopt reasonable rules governing the audio or videotaping of open portions of the meeting of the board and the membership, but such rules shall not preclude such audio or videotaping by those attending. That's the law, the newest
Yes,
law.
and let me give you something that I just learned the other day. That the first word you read in that law says may, and the things you need to look at the law is withstanding, withholding, may, could, shall, be, never. Those are the words you need to look at when you're pertaining to laws. So we would not be the only association that says no videotaping. Okay, we can make the policy. It is allowed. Lots of associations do it. Lots of management companies oversee that it's not being done. At this point in time, we have discussed that as a board, even though there hasn't been an issue, except for there's been issues of people threatening to do something, which everybody can do what they want to do. But we feel at this point, there will be no more videotaping at our meetings. And we're hoping to have all our meetings online. So if you want to record the meeting, we'll have another policy. Yes.
For what it's worth, it's only advice. I think that it would be suicidal for you guys to ban the videotaping. It's in your best interest to allow the taping because it shows that you have nothing to hide. But I would recommend some kind of constraint that you've got to get a copy of that tape within so many hours of the meeting, so it can't be tampered with when you've got it on the record. And the only reason I say that is because there's so much suspicion around this community from all the issues that to be full disclosure, to be open, I think it's
And
very
that's
strong.
another reason why we should do Skype meetings. You can sit at home in your living room and watch what's going on. You can hit record. You can go to meetings.com. And it's there. We can actually have the meeting displayed on the website, which some people do.
Right.
It's a great opportunity. And these things,
But if you go that way-
technology is changing.
But
okay?
if you go in that direction using online meetings, which isn't such a bad idea, you're now reopening the opportunity to record it So I think you. I
That,
think-
it is true, but
I
there
think
are
you shoot
laws to
yourself in the foot.
cyberspace too.
No, I understand, but I think you shoot yourself in the foot. This is one person's opinion.
Right.
You shoot yourself in the foot if you ban videotaping because people would say, what are they
You
trying
know
to
what?
hide?
Everything is for the record. No one's trying to do anything on this board that you shouldn't know about or shouldn't do. It's not that. It's just that I have, 9 emails going, I don't want to be videotaped. I don't even like that thing, And then they won't come to any meetings because they're being recorded. And I have, everybody has a different position on that, right? I'm a domestic violence victim. If my predator were to get a hold of that tape, it could kill me. So I take it very seriously, and I wait for the day that someone displays that tape in a bad fashion.
Huh.
Will not be good for me.
How do you feel about audio tape?
I feel the same way. The audio is fine. I feel fine with the video. As long as it's used in the correct fashion, there shouldn't be a problem with it. That when I have people not wanting to come to a meeting, that's a problem for me because I want them all to come.
If you do
I want
choose-
people to come.
If you do choose to ban it, make sure you cite those examples. Another problem that most of the boards, all of the boards have had is weak communication. And if you set a policy and communicate it effectively, and I mean highly effectively, remember you don't get backlash. We've proven time and time again that when we do things and we don't communicate effectively, the backlash is ridiculous in your email.
Another thing with the website, we now have a complaint form that you can go fill out. You have a contact form you can fill out. You have a guest book that you can put examples in and your thoughts there. Just in the last few weeks, we have scaled and branched, and we love ideas. And as far as the videotaping, people are going to do what they're going to do whether they're here or not. They're going to say, she said, they said. They're going to do what they're going to do. And there's consequences to everything. I'm not here to babysit anymore. I'm here just to do the job. I think we're doing a great job. I think we've made leaps and bounds. I know a lot of people don't feel that it's fast enough, and I feel like I'm running.
Okay, good.
All right, Suzanne, any more on the videotaping?
Oh, no, it's the Open Act law, so we'll,
And
when
did
the
you
board
read the
decides
first
what they want to do and how they want to do it, then they'll have to come to them, and then it will be up to
You
the,
may. That's the key part in that law is may.
then the board may want to consult the Attorney General, because the Attorney General's Office of Arizona does oversee the Open Meeting Act. Maybe they can get the Attorney General's advice before they
You
do
know what?
something.
And bring it to
And
me.
also Skype and those companies.
Go to the general attorney, tell them.
It's on the website. You can just go on the website, go on Attorney General's, it says Open Meeting Act, and you can write whatever you want, and they'll respond to you. It's a beautiful
Okay,
thing.
Well, right now I have a lot of responses, and I can only suggest that you do that and forward it to us. I love
Good idea.
suggestions.
Good idea.
I need you guys' help on the outsourcing of things. Right now, we do not have a new date for our next meeting.
What are the costs for Skype and meetingwhatever.com?
Well, Skype is free.
No, it's not.
Okay.
No, not for companies.
It's not free for video chat multiple people, and I use it on a day-to-day basis. So, you're gonna try to tell me I'm wrong. I'm not.
Okay, and you know what, you could be right about that, but
I
I'm
am.
sure it's gonna be a lot less than having a police officer at every one of my meetings.
I'm
I can
not gonna
probably guarantee you that it's not gonna cost that much money. Because I know for a fact that the conferencing online through, what is that? Yeah, GoToMeetings.com, is very, very less expensive compared to a police officer. And if we have to videotape our meeting and then display it online, we can do that. Those that don't know how to work online, we can come to your home, we can assist you, we can get you a computer so you can see it. We're gonna do everything in our power to work with everyone. But right now, it's getting everyone to the meetings and getting them the information. This only benefits all of us, especially if we're wanting to change the CCNRs and update them. We're gonna need those 2/3. We're gonna need just about everybody, and it would be nice for once to have 100%. That way there's no questions about anything. No one's intimidated about anything. And I can only suggest that as soon as you guys got ideas, you know, I will, by tomorrow, or Tuesday, I will put up another form just for watching the CCNRs. Because I bet there's probably 2,000 or 3,000 people that can have a different thought every day. Okay?
Unrelated question?
Okay, last question.
Yeah, the last one I have. Back to votes and whether it's revotes, any other vote. Have you guys been checking for member in good standing when counting ballots?
Well, right now, any member, whether they pay their dues or not, can come to a meeting.
Right, and you can only vote if you're in good standing, correct?
Now, there's a law that trumps that law, which I did find out because on a couple of the things that I had received in the past, even though they were board directors, didn't pay assessments. And I say that because before they had credits with the loans. Then when they said, I'm taking this to court and this becomes a loan, it takes out the credits. So then they would not pay the So at that point, I said, well, then their votes can't be counted, this and this, because our CCNR say this. But as far as getting free legal advice, I'm pretty confident that there's a law that trumps if you can afford to pay your assessment, you still have a vote. And if you find some attorney that will say differently, forward it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so this meeting's over.